Hello, everybody. I hope you guys all had a wonderful holiday, healthy, have a great New Year. Hopefully, you're able to spend time in just resting and recharging the batteries a little bit. I know it's been a long, different year, so hopefully this year will be more positive. Hopefully, start off more positive for you. So here's the deal, guys. I'm not going to be in school most of this week. I hope to be back by Friday. At least that's the plan. Over Christmas break on Christmas Day, I was one of my family members. We later found out tested positive for COVID. Um, we just had a little small get, just my parents and my sister and whatnot. So it was nothing large, but one of those people ended up testing positive a couple days after. So I was exposed to them. Now I feel fine, but I was deemed as a close contact by the county. So I have to stay self quarantine for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks will be up on Friday, so I should be able to be back by Friday. So anyway, now we're on our mock trial stage. You guys, we started on this. We started on this before we left for break. We're going to spend the next 2 weeks finishing up, and then we'll start our mock trial in a couple weeks. So it's very, very, very important you guys are staying on task with this stuff because we're gonna be starting, like I said, in 2 weeks. So before you guys left for break, you should have completed a handful of these assignments. So um, the jury handbook reading questions. I'm going to go back into the jury section where you guys should see this jury handbook reading and questions should have been complete. Obviously, I'm seeing there's a couple of you guys who have not finished it as of yet, but you need this link, and here's the worksheet for you to complete. So that should be done, no problem. And then you were tasked according to your schedule, jury selection bell work assignment, which was Monday the 14th. So jury selection bell work assignment, that's limited grade, one of your persons, but this should also be completed where you needed to kind of read through this. Again, very simple, guys. You're reading this up here, this blue thing, and then describe your work ethic. So this is some of the questions that were asked. So your job essentially is to answer these questions. Now you can do this on your own separate Google Doc, or if you're going to type into this, I would probably say it's easier to type in your own Google Doc so you have more space. But what are the advantages and the disadvantages? The disadvantages if you're the plaintiff of having this person, Josie Batch, of being on trial. And then same thing if you're the defendant. What are the advantages and the disadvantages of having this Josie Batch be on there? And then if based upon your own idea, should they be on the jury or not? Do they have a bias? Um, so you'll make sure you explain why. So you do the same thing for juror 2 and juror 3 as you did for juror 1. All right, so that should be turned in to me as well. Now going back to your okay, so that was really the only two assignments that I asked you guys to really to have complete and done before you guys left for break. All right, so now comes into the other stuff. Monday, January 4th, January 6th this week. So read through the notes with Mr. Myers. I'll go over this with you guys on Monday. So let's do this. So let's go into your mock trial tab, jury activity, selecting a jury assignment. Okay. So read through the notes on the document that I created, analyze the potential jurors. So let's do this. Yeah. Sorry about that. I had my wife yelling at me from downstairs. What else is new, right? All right. So this document, read through the notes on the document that I created. All right. So open this up, kind of go through this together about jury selection. All right, so this is my notes. You don't need to copy this down, so I'll right here for you. But obviously, you were going to be the jury. Now, in a normal circumstance, if there was really a trial and there would be a selection process that would be conducted. Some jurors would be asked to leave and they wouldn't be asked to come back. Some would be asked to stay part of the trial. So how does that work? So who or what is a jury? The jury is obviously it's an impartial body. That's the important thing. You want to make sure that you have a jury that is impartial. There's no biases. You want to make sure that the jury hears the case and decides what happened. They decide whether what the plaintiff or prosecutor says happened really did. But the judge still makes the legal rulings. So criminal trials is usually it's up to 12 people who are on jury. Usually they have alternates in case something happens where somebody gets sick. So they usually keep a couple alternates, in their back pocket in case something were to happen. If there's a family emergency, somebody gets sick, or a juror has to be removed for some reason. But all jurors will hear the case, but only the 12 will be actually in the deliberation room. So who is a jury member? A citizens in order to be a part of the jury, you need to be a U.S. citizen. You need to be living in the jurisdiction in which you live. So, for instance, if you were to be called by Lorain County to have jury duty, well, you need to live in Lorain County. That needs to be your residence. You need to be over 18 years old, and you need to be able to communicate in English. So those are the basic requirements for a jury. So what is the jury's job? So again, your job is going to be when you guys are doing the mock trial, your job is going to be to see and hear the evidence and testimony and to deliberate to reach a verdict. In order for there to be conviction, the jury must be unanimous in order to convict somebody. So out of those 12 people, it takes one person out of that 12 to say, you know what, I can't convict. Then it'll be a hung jury. So you need a unanimous case in order to have a guilty plea. So to deliberate means they must talk to the other jurors. So if you're in the jury deliberation room, all 12 of you must deliberate, must communicate, must talk. If the jury goes back and draws straw to determine guilt or innocence, that verdict is not valid. So, for instance, if you're all like, let's just get this thing over with, let's just draw straws, guilty or not guilty. Well, that wouldn't be a legal process. That verdict would not be valid. If someone finds out that this is what happened, the verdict may be overturned because it violates the defendant's rights. How and when does a person serve on the jury? Well, when they are summoned. So usually you get something in the mail that says you're summoned for jury duty. I've gotten this a few times when I lived in here in Medina where I live. I've gotten jury duty twice. So where you're summoned. So you need to go down to the local courthouse, and they'll explain the instructions there. Jurors usually serve for 1 week or less, but they may serve longer. It just depends on the case. Jurors are compensated for their time, but it's not a lot of money. Usually it's $10 a day, and they'll pay for your mileage. But usually your work will work around that. You can take sick time, or they'll pay for, they'll have something set up for you. Can a potential juror be excused from service? Yes. If you can prove that you have a financial hardship, or if you have an illness or disability, you can ask to be excused from service. If you're a single parent, and you could be excused because of childcare concerns. Low income potential juror may be excused if the financial impact is too significant. But you must respond to the summons. You can't just ignore it and say, I'm not going to go. You need to respond to it. You need to show up or write a letter in advance to ask for you to be excused. If you do not respond, then it's going to be a misdemeanor. So jury selection. This gets selected by the attorneys and the judge to serve on a jury first of case. So the attorneys will meet, the judge will meet, and out of those 20, 30, 40 people who they bring in, they'll choose 12 and a few alternates. So there's a pool of people to choose from. Some get picked, some don't. Each side, the prosecution and the defense, gets to ask questions of the jury pool. The first step is for the jurors to fill out a jury questionnaire. On these forms, the attorneys will ask basic questions, which will help them to weed out the jurors with serious potential biases. Often the people removed from the process are those who know someone involved in the case, the attorneys. So, for instance, if I am brought into jury duty and I am good friends with the prosecution, the lawyer or one of the lawyers or one of the defendants, I have a bias. So I would be basically thrown out. Maybe if there's a case on a drunk driver and they find out I have a son or daughter or somebody in my family who was affected by a drunk driver, I would have a bias in that case. The lawyers probably wouldn't pick me to be on the jury in that case. Often a juror who is uncomfortable relating information in front of an entire pool will be asked questions individually when the rest of the jury pool has been excused from the courtroom. All questions are asked in order to see if the jurors have any potential biases toward one side of the case or the other. If a potential bias is uncovered, the juror may be stricken or removed. There's two ways of removing a juror. So for cause, because they have expressed or otherwise indicated a bias, or a peremptory challenge for any reason. So basically, you can be removed for really any reason whatsoever. So anyway, what you're going to be doing, you're going to read through the following scenarios, keeping in mind that you will be in charge of weeding out the jurors who may possess a bias toward one side or other. Underline what you may think may be important to know as an attorney for the state. Circle what you think may be important to know as the attorney for the defendant. When everyone has finished reading, you will be partnered with a classmate to begin the process of selecting your jury. So here are the scenarios. There's one jury pool. So essentially what you're going to be doing is basically just writing down the questions here. If you were a prosecution questions, juror number one, what would be some things that you would ask this individual? So basically what you're going to be doing essentially is with your partner come up with 3 questions that you'd want to ask each person in the jury pool as the attorney of the state. So you're the prosecution. And then you're also going to create 3 questions you would want to ask if you are on the defense. Below is information you know from a questionnaire given in the pool from the site. Remember, while race and gender may be easily visible, you may not use them as a basis for removing jurors from your panel. So essentially, what you need to do is go through, and there are 20 jurors. This is going to take you a good chunk of the week. You're going to need to create 3 questions for prosecution that you want to ask this person, 3 questions for the defense. And then here's the scenario up here, guys. Here's the scenario. Jessica Ho, 22 years old, waitress, Seattle. So here's the case. And then you're gonna pick jurors from this jury pool. So pick you and your partner can write 3 questions for the prosecution. Write 3 questions if you're the defense lawyer. They do the same thing for juror number 2. So you're going to go through all the 20 of these. And essentially what I'm asking you guys to do is follow that. And when you're done striking the jury, you will now be divided into 2 groups, prosecution and defense attorneys. See Mr. Myers for instructions on the rest. So you'll stop basically. So basically after Monday, I'll put in a video and I'll explain more. Because you probably won't get finished with this today. So on Wednesday, what you're going to do is you are going to be divided up. I'm going to divide you guys up into teams. I'll put half you guys with the defense, half you guys with the prosecution, and from there we're going to do a little simulation. We're going to basically choose our jury. All right. So, but again, that's more for Wednesday. But again, by the end of Monday, you should be having these questions they should be basically done by Monday or early part of Wednesday. All right. So await further instructions for Wednesday. I'll have another video for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, I wanted to point you guys direction to Google Classroom really quick. If you guys look in Google Classroom, I created a Google breakout group for you guys. So Google Meet breakout groups. So if you guys need to meet with anybody, here's for the jury. You'll click on the link and everybody who's a jury member can meet all together. So that's kind of more for Wednesday when you guys actually are collaborating. Or if you guys choose to partner up with somebody who's online to write your questions, then you can use this as well. But I might pop in to make sure you guys are following instructions. You should be in this the whole entire time. So if you're online, you should click on this link. It's a way for me to kind of pop in with you to check up on you, see if you have any questions. But again, I'm not here. So if you guys are stuck somewhere, you're not sure of something, please let me know so I can help you and point you in the right direction. Or if you didn't finish anything from before break, guys, this needs to be completed. So you guys have plenty of class time. I'm going to start reaching out to you guys for people who are already behind. All right, adios. Have a good one. I'll see you guys hopefully at the end of the week.